Hi, my name is Carol Williams, and I'm here with you on CAN TV tonight, Thursday night, November the 10th. I'm representing our nonprofit organization called United States Veterans Art Program. One of our missions is to increase the representation of veterans in the arts community, and we do that by every month coming onto CAN TV and highlighting a local musician or artist of any kind and who is also a veteran, and talk about their military experience, possibly how that relates to what it is that they do as an artist. We talk about their background a little bit, show what they do, talk about what they do, and most of all, we invite you to call in with questions or comments. This is a live hotline call-in show. You'll see the number there on your screen. It's 312-738-1060. United States Veterans Art Program has been around for a while. We have a website that you can go to if you'd like to see previous shows that we've done. We've had anywhere between musicians, artists, painters, poets, writers, sound engineer, sculptor. My name again is Carol Williams. I'm a veteran of the Army, 7 years, and my husband, Kimo Williams, and I have the organization. He's a Vietnam veteran. We've been back to Vietnam several times. We've taken music performances over there. Tonight we're going to have a musician. We haven't had as many musicians as we've had other types of artists. It's a little bit more demanding as far as showing you what musicians do. This is a Vietnam veteran that we're going to have on tonight named Joe Klass. He comes to us from Kenosha. First, we're going to show you our website information, and we again would encourage you to call in with any comments, any questions about what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about veterans in the arts. We're talking about how art programs can be a positive activity for veterans. There are recreation therapy departments in just about every VA. They don't all have them. Some of the VAs actually even have music therapy and art therapy as well as recreation therapy. And if you're watching this and you're in Chicago, you're probably registered with Jesse Brown VA. They actually have the full component of recreation therapy. They have music therapist and art therapy. We've had a couple of them on the show in the past. I'm going to show you the information for us if you can see that. We are United States Veterans Art Program.org, www.usvap.org. Our email is admin, A-D-M-I-N, at usvap.org. You can give us a call at 312-360-9117. Definitely go to our website. You'll see many of our previous shows, plus what we do, what types of things that we are active with, and also music and some music video. So we are here tonight with Joe Klass. Hi, Joe.
How are you, dear?
I'm fine. He called me dear. Goodness. I think I outrank you.
Yes.
You
maybe.
did call me sergeant.
I was E5 myself.
Okay, I outrank you then.
Okay.
Honey.
All right, sweetheart.
Joe is a Vietnam veteran. We're going to tell a little bit about you, and you can interrupt me if I'm wrong. He's from Ohio. How he got here from Ohio is probably one of those convoluted stories where, you know, the pebble just keeps knocking down the road with no direction.
Could write a book about it.
Right, right. And perhaps one day you will, because writing is also one of those really great things that recreation therapy, art therapy is really geared to get people to do. The reason why I met Joe is because you are active with the Expressive Arts Therapy Program up at Lovell VA Medical Center, and that, for some of you, will more recognize it as North Chicago VA.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, you have kind of a long history of kind of doing things on your own, including you came from Ohio and You went into the Army before you finished high school, and you took the old GED and basic training.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a while since they've done that.
I just thought it was natural, but a lot of guys I've talked to, that didn't happen to them. So
they probably also had the option to go into basic training if they had a sentence to serve and they'd rather not go to jail. That's the way they were doing it when I went in. But you were actually in Vietnam with a medevac company. You were the crew chief.
Yes, ma'am.
And what year was that you
I served with the 101st Airborne Medevac Eagle Dust-Off from 1970 to 1971.
And did you leave after one tour?
I had actually came home on extension leave. I was going back, and my mother was terminally ill with cancer. And nobody had told me that while I was there. So then I had to get a compassionate reassignment.
Right. Wow.
And they sent me to Indianapolis, Indiana, which I didn't get along too well with those people.
You mean Fort Ben Harrison? Oh. Well, at least they didn't send you to Fort Sheridan, which was called Shaky by the Lakey. Fort Shaky by the Lakey, for anybody that went there. So you finished out your time in the service, basically. You thought that you would be career. You really, you went in expecting to stay.
Yes.
Why didn't you stay?
Coming back at 19 years old and being strictly combat, seeing combat every day, I wasn't quite prepared for the letdown of being here, where nobody liked you anyway.
Particularly in Indianapolis, where there probably wasn't a lot to do.
It's the finance center and the broadcasting school of the Army, so we didn't get along too well. And so I got shipped around a few different places. And, you know, I finally was able to, I took an early out to go to the National Guard. And all my friends were there, so they didn't treat me much better.
So the plan of staying in the service was sort of based on the experience of not having been in the service, looking to think that it was going to be the way you expected it. And it probably was that way before Vietnam, too. Did you have family that was in the service?
Well, the reason I went into the service and went to the Airborne and did all those things was I had my uncle's brother was a warrant officer in the Air Force. And, you know, he would come home twice a year for a week, and he had all these nice clothes on, and he had a pencil-thin mustache and a pocket full of money, and
looks
always
good.
had a new woman on his arm.
Looks good.
So I thought that was a pretty good life.
So instead you ended up getting out, along with, I'm sure, very many other in that particular moment of the generation. You'd played guitar as a kid, self-taught, of course, played the Beatles tunes out of the Big Easy chord book.
The Beatles Gold Book.
The Beatles Gold Book.
Yes. And the only reason we worked on that book was because we knew the songs, and they would show you where to put your fingers on the guitar.
Right.
And a lot of the Beatles songs were pretty simple back then.
At least you only played the ones that were simple, right?
And then, you know, you get your garage band going, and you're all set.
That's right. So how did that figure into anything that you did after you were in the service?
Let's see. Well, we played, I played all the way up through high school, different people who I'm still in contact with today over Facebook. I've met a lot of them back on my high school alumni pages. Rekindled a lot of relationships. And when I was in Vietnam, I picked up an old guitar that somebody left, and left this guitar. It had a hole in it where they were strumming it so hard.
Right.
And so we would sit up at night sometimes and just try to sing. And so I kept it going there, and then when I got out, I played in a couple bigger bands, and finally ended up in a ministry with a band going around to high schools and playing Christian rock for high schoolers. And then I gave it up for 19 or 20 years.
19 or 20 years. And then you did the Cups Purple Heart Cruise for several years after you got back into doing this.
Yes.
For those of you who are too young to remember, Cups Purple Heart Cruise used to take off once a year from downtown Chicago on, was it the Star?
July.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the biggest one out of Chicago,
Right.
the 3-level one.
Right. And ironically, I used to do that once a year when I was in the Army Band at Fort Sheridan. That was one of our annual jobs that we did. And it was disturbing to see the levels of disfigurement on the people who were on that boat. I remember this was before I was had any medical background, but I work as a nurse now in the emergency department. But it was shocking. It was disturbing. It was really difficult to look at because, of course, as you know, the Cups Purple Heart Cruise was primarily for the disabled vets that were in the local Chicago area. And most of them were actually Vietnam veterans, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And it wasn't that long after Vietnam. It was early 80s. And if you think back on that time, you'll think, well, that was just 2 minutes after the war.
75, I think it ended.
Right. So anyway, you picked up your guitar. You're going to do a song for us. And if we have anybody that would like to call in, and now don't ask them for My Way or any Frank Sinatra or Chicago tunes. We're not doing requests here. Don't ask them for the caissons go rolling along either.
I'm pretty limited to the songs I write.
Well, that's a good thing. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted you to talk about the Expressive Arts program up at Lovell. There's a lot of different ways you can look at recreation therapy. I was talking about this just one day. There's at least 4 different approaches to it, depending on the therapy department and the therapists. One of the places that we played at just used, and you'll find this interesting, I'm sure, put a band together. The recreation therapist put a band together, and the purpose was not so that they could have this great band, but it was so that when they got together and played, people could look at their behavior and figure out what it is that they do that doesn't work. So, for example, the bass player would be yelling at the drummer, you drop the beat, you don't know where 1 is, we went back to the top and you weren't even there, and guess what? That was you that did it all. And this is what you've been doing. You've always said all the bands broke up because of everybody else, and it was actually you. So it's just one way to look at behavior. For other recreation music therapists, it's a good small motor skill. For other people, it's just good diversion therapy, just to think about something that's pleasant.
Well, I think most musicians are pretty outspoken anyway.
Some.
I'd go around a lot the Midwest by myself up to Michigan. It's not frugal to take the band sometimes.
No. Right.
We got a bus and all that, but it's not.
Right.
Just doesn't pay. And so I'll go up to Ann Arbor, Detroit by myself, and you'd be surprised at the people they have locked up in nursing homes. Well, not locked up, but that are treating them in nursing homes.
Right.
And these young guys from Afghanistan who don't know where they are or who they are. It's an amazing thing. They're getting good care, but they're awful young.
Right.
24, 25 years old, and then you have the Vietnam vets and even some Korean vets who are still hanging on.
Right.
And I just go in there and play for the guys, and
Right. And sometimes the whole point of recreation therapy, music therapy, is to actually exist for a way to express anger.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of, there's a huge component in PTSD that's anger. You know, if you know right from wrong and you know that something happened to you that was wrong, that's anger producing. And sometimes the only way you can express your anger is through art.
Well, anger is a big part of PTSD. I didn't know that I had PTSD for almost 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was wrong with me. You know, the alcohol and all the things that come along with it. It's a hard thing. And then when I met Dr. John Baer, you know, he found out you play music, and you know, he
Mm-hmm.
gets you involved, and he's counsels. I still counsel with him twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps me sane.
So for those of you who just tuned in, that's Dr. John Baer, who heads up a expressive arts therapy group every Friday. Well, there's other activities during the week, up at Lovell VA Medical Center. That's the Old North Chicago. And actually, you can register at any VA hospital. You're not just limited to Hines or Jesse Brown. You just have to be able to get yourself transported up there. We are going to ask you, Joe, to play us a tune.
Okay.
You came prepared, from what I understand. I'm going to show you an overhead first of one of their CDs called Soldiers of the Sand. Is that the song that you're going to...
This is our newest CD, the third one. And that's the song I'm going to do.
That's the song that Joe Klass is going to play. They also have a previous CD, and how long ago was that one done?
That CD was done 3 years ago. And,
By these folks, is that correct?
well, yes, that's my previous... Well, a lot of them, the only one that's gone now is Carl in the middle there. The big guy with the goatee.
Mm-hmm.
We have since added a piano player and a new drummer.
And that's you on this
On
side?
the left, yes.
Right, okay. And we're going to hear your song, Soldiers of the Sand.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your guitar over there. And again, if you would like to call and talk to us, ask any questions, our phone number is there on the screen, 312-738-1060. This is CAN TV, Thursday Night Veterans Issues. And thank you very much for being there to help us celebrate tomorrow being Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot to say about the soldiers of the sand, pushing forward in the heat of hell to protect our homeland. When to shoot or not to shoot is a decision every day. Are they insurgents or divisions in the way? Well, it's a tough call to make as people pass me by. Well, they press that hidden button, hoping I will die. So Lord, hear my prayer, make my decision right. No matter what the call, I'll take it home for the rest of my life. And it's just so hard, and it's not supposed to be this way. I should be home with my kids on their birthdays. And I hope they tell them that I've gone to protect this land and forever be known as a soldier of the sand. Well, I dream about honoring my fallen brothers every night, and for this each living day I'll take up the fight. We are fighting so we will never again be attacked, and with the grace of God and your prayers we'll all make it back. And it's just so hard, and it's not supposed to be this way. I should be home with my kids on their birthdays, and I hope they tell them that I've gone to protect this land and forever be known as a soldier of the sand. And I hope they tell them that I've gone to protect this land, and forever be known as a soldier of the sand.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
That's Joe Klass. That's a song called Soldiers in the Sand. I'd like to show you the CD cover. I also forgot to say that your band is called the Voice of Veterans.
Yes.
And you have a website, if you can see, Voice of Veterans, and it's
voiceofveterans.us.
.us. Okay, if you want to go to their website.
There's a lot of discography there. We also have a lot of links to other different service organizations that maybe have helped to people with PTSD. You can also order the CD, patches, and a few other things there.
So go to www.voiceofveterans, it's all one word, .us.
Right.
To get in touch with Joe Klass and the Voice of Veterans, and that's a band that you are pretty active with, and also to get any other information from the website, of which it is full of information.
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
seen your links. There are more links than you can count on a golf course. And it's very helpful, and I think that that's the gist of what it is that you are, is that you don't just exist for your own experience. You're hoping to put your experience into others in order to benefit.
Well, one of the things that I've learned to do, and then, you know, I'm here for a reason. I'm not, you know, I wasn't just put here to, you know, learn about PTSD. When I go out, I teach the guys, you know, go back to if you were like roller skating when you were 17 or 16, or if you did skateboarding or fishing, you know, you've been to Vietnam, you're 35, you're 45, 50 years old. Start doing that again, because you didn't forget about it.
You know,
And unless you make yourself happy, you can't make other people happy.
it's interesting that you would say that, because a couple things is one of the art therapists that I talked to said that one of the things that they talk about in art therapy is, do you remember when you were first in kindergarten and you had your box of crayons? Oh, God, you know, it was just the most wonderful thing that you could have this box of crayons. You loved the colors. And when you sat down to color, you didn't think about how good you were. You didn't think about whether or not somebody was going to judge you. You didn't have to be self-conscious about what you were drawing. True, somebody probably told you to stay within the lines, but when you got to draw a picture, you weren't thinking, what is the world going to think of me now?
Right.
And it's really difficult to get back to that frame of mind, the one where you're so self-conscious and so defensive about what it is that you want to say and do, that you're literally paralyzed by this fear of being judged. And exactly what you said, and what you said is very true, that if you liked, no matter what it is that you like to do,
Right.
the truth of the matter is that you like to do it because it made you feel good.
That's right.
And feeling good is in short supply. I think that it's really underrated. The idea of hobbies, the idea of leisure activity, the idea of just sports, getting out there on your, you said skateboard, but I would never suggest a skateboard.
But there are people that love that.
Well, they would, but hopefully they are, you know, able to have better balance than I do.
I had a few crashes on them, and it was the early skateboards.
We are going to say goodnight here. We're wrapping up here. This is Veterans Issues on CAN TV. We're going to leave you with our website here. This is Joe Klass. Thank you so very much,
Thank
Joe.
you for having me.
And his wonderful daughter is in the studio with us also. And we're going to say goodnight until next month, when we'll be back with you on veterans issues, and have a safe and memorable Veterans Day tomorrow. Thank you very much.